the forces, the constructs, the belief systems, and really, men and women, they embody in different bodies, of course, with different subtle physical bodies, and they simply play different roles. But this has nothing to do, in my estimation, as I write in my book. My book is the reconciliation of all opposites, and I reconcile the masculine and the feminine. I reconcile in the book the dark and the light. And as a mystic, I've written the book not as a book. It's really a mystical experience that one is taken through as it's being read. But I just see that there are different roles that we need to play. And so at some point it became very confusing to me to use these terms masculine and feminine, because we think, when we hear those terms, we think of the way women have been programmed during the patriarchy and men have been programmed during the patriarchy. And really all of the patriarchal programming or conditioning is inside out and upside down. It's 180 degrees reversed, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
So really we each have the masculine and the feminine within, as you say, but I actually dropped those terms in lieu of the terms lunar and solar, because I find I find it much easier to talk about when, if men can reclaim the lunar, the receptive and the nurturing and the yin quality, and women can reclaim the solar, which is the active, the passionate, the creative, the yang quality of the universe. Then it kind of takes the charge off of the job that each has to do,
Yes, because, very good.
Yeah, because for a man in the patriarchy to be called effeminate has been an insult for all this time.
Absolutely. And if you're a gay man, of course, you get an onslaught of all kinds of names that are not pleasant to hear.
Exactly.
So I told somebody the other day that I've been morphing from being a heterosexual to homosexual to no sexual, because you can't be gay if you're not having sex. And now I'm working on androgyny.
Yes. Beautiful.
Because really, there's a certain point where you reach such a nice blend of energies that you can just pull from this or pull from that, and there's no delineation anymore. There's just space.
Yes.
And energy, and they are all wonderful energies, and I tend to enjoy the feminine, the more receptive energies, because they seem to be more open and intuitive and empathic.
Yes. Yes, and it's very natural for men. Rama taught his students that men, when they first step on the spiritual path, they're usually bhakti yogis. Bhakti is the yoga of love and devotion. So devotion to the teacher or the teachings. It's very natural for them to give their heart to the teacher or to the spiritual essence, to oneness. And then they move into jnana yoga, which is the yoga of discrimination, which is more really what you're describing, where you move beyond the masculine, the feminine. You move beyond even the highest vibration of love into the clear light. So the heart is really a very natural place for the masculine to reside. And I think that it's such an important work that gay men have been doing for us and for the collective in being fearless in exploring that within themselves. I see that as a really important pivotal point as we're going forward towards 2012, actually. And it's only something that has just come to me consciously. But there is a progression, and the progression is that as women, reclaim their solar side, so as women begin to stand in power, and by power, I don't again mean power as we define it in the patriarchy, power over or power of force, but really standing neither for or against something, but in balance, in integrity, Yes. So just standing as the solar, because we are both, right?
Yes, absolutely.
and coming to the forefront, not being afraid, not throwing off all of that conditioning that says to a woman, you're not powerful, and not being afraid to be who we are in the world, however that expresses itself.
Oh, that is so important.
Yeah.
It is just vital that women recognize their worth. I mean, all of us have to go through this too, but I see so many women that just are riddled with fears and insecurities and, past traumas from rapes and childhood abuse and so on. And, of course, that all needs to be let up and released so that the soul can manifest. But it's so vital for women to stand in their own power, because we're not going to make it as humanity unless that happens.
Yes.
And so there's a great price to be paid if women and men don't balance themselves and stand in their own light.
Yes, so important what you say. And so I think it's just a matter of us accepting the work that we have to do on ourselves, the women reclaiming the solar, or in some cases, women have been told to reclaim their masculine, and they've gone out often and become very successful in business. So they also have work to do with reclaiming the lunar.
Right.
Yeah, but the progression is quite interesting, because as women stand in their power, there will be a collective crescendo of female power on the planet. And there will be a reaction to that by the masculine, won't there?
Oh, of course.
Yes, and it's absolutely necessary, because men won't be able to process their issues fully unless they do have that crescendo of feminine power to react against. And so it's all beautifully orchestrated, I think, for the next 2 years. And then there's a very interesting point in there where at some point the feminine, with her reclaimed solar side, will actually turn and help to heal the masculine wounding, which I believe is actually much greater than the female wounding.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
There's
a lot of healing to be done.
Exactly. I've begun removing energetic blockages. I've discovered since I came back from my death experience that I can do that. And as I work with women, I've encountered 2 women that had collars around their neck from the Inquisition. And they were collars, they're sort of metallic looking, of course, and they were put there by their jailers or torturers. And we remove it, and it's often quite painful to do it, to remove these structures, because we've carried them for many lifetimes. But in both cases, Lance, it's so fascinating, because as the energetic construct released, and she had been carrying this, for many lifetimes since the Inquisition, always the jailer has come up. And it's the man who placed the collar on his neck. On her neck, and he's asking to be released from his karma, because she has carried the weight of one collar, he's carried the weight of hundreds. And when we work with that inwardly, there is always, it's very, very painful, always. I begin crying. The weight of, being the jailer who did that to 100 women, placed a metal collar. It's horrific, this masculine wounding from the patriarchy. The weight of carrying that, And then being, of course, programmed in this life as a little boy who wears blue, who's supposed to shut down his emotional body, who can never cry. It's really horrific.
Oh, yes. I would guess that you meet quite a few who were burned at the stake, since there were so many millions.
Yeah.
That had fire traumatic experiences.
Yes. There is that, but of course for the women who chose not to be burned, they had to sign a contract that said they were damned for eternity. That's a pretty big one too.
Yeah, that could cause a little damage somewhere along the line.
Yeah. Well, we've all been damaged by the patriarchy, haven't we?
Oh, no kidding. And all of the structures that are in place I mean, it seems almost like a big circus. You know, you've got the seat of power of the, you know, this Catholic Church and all of the various things that they're doing, and you have the governments and the military, and you've got the queens and the kings, and everyone's vying for power. And if, as you say, the energetics have shifted because they are no longer solidified as they had created them, then they're probably going to start manifesting in ways that are somewhat unpredictable.
Yes, there is that potential. But you know, I haven't watched television for probably 35 years, but when I travel, I am staying in a hotel. Sometimes I watch. And I was having breakfast in a hotel in Berlin, and they had the news on, like sort of CNN and for the EU. And they were showing pictures of Hillary Clinton meeting a diplomat and things going on at the UN. And I was sitting there and going, my God, that doesn't even look real. The people, there's so little life. There's so little vibration of love in their awareness field that it's really, the television ended up being a portal into a dying world. That's what it looked like.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think it is just the memory that all of these constructs are there and that are oppressing us. It's really, if you take another look and look very closely at the energy, the worlds are splitting. And the world of the heart that we are ascending into, which is unconditional love and reverence for the earth and all other people, and this sense of oneness and unity that we're experiencing, that's already there. We can already take up residence there. And that old world is dying off. And so if you're still plugged into it, and this is really why I wrote the book, it helps someone not unplug from, not get off the grid, but unplug your energies from it, to understand that there's nothing wrong with the patriarchal structures. They're there to put our backs up against the wall and to help us change. Yeah. They're there because we've had a learning about power and abuse of power for the past 5,000 years. But if you're still plugged into it, then you're affected by the dying world, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So if you still have control issues that are coming up in your face, if you still have, you like hierarchy, if you're still trying to cling to the old ways, then those old ways are starting to vibrate so radically that you're just being forced to let go of them. Once you let go, you're okay. Then you're in the new world, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I call that the organic world. The world of nature and of spirit, and it's just so beautiful and awesome that you can look down into the grass and find a little bacteria that's cute, and suspended some love, and a butterfly above you and a tree. And I love your descriptions of your conversations with trees in the book. It was so beautiful just to read that, and. It's just it's such a beautiful book. It works on so many different levels, and I highly encourage everybody to get Unplugging from the Patriarchy. I hope I got that right. Unplugging the Patriarchy. We'll just have to say it again and again. Unplugging the Patriarchy. Unplugging the Patriarchy.
Can we have a special for your listeners? Can I just mention that at this juncture?
Sure. Yeah,
because if you go to my website, which is unpluggedfromthepatriarchy.com, or Unplugging the Patriarchy will get you there as well. But look for my archives, and then you'll see our show, Zany Mystic, and then there's a little bonus button there. It's a red button, and it says Bonus US and Bonus International. And we basically give the book away at cost to the listeners for your show. So it's only $8 in the US, and we take care of the shipping and everything. So that little button will be there, and it doesn't say book. It's just a little secret button.
Wow.
So go to the archives on Unplugged from the Patriarchy. You press that button, and you'll be taken into PayPal, and you can just get the book for $8 or $14 if you're outside. Yeah.
That is so wonderful of you. That people do it. I mean, it's worth $50 at minimal. So, you know, to me, it's a page turner, and it just will open up your eyes